With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Last time out, it was Milwayne's delight. Milwayne led the way at Brands Hatch by much as 4 seconds. But today, a different task for drivers. For the PRL's Formula 3 series, it's the Hungaroring on RaceSpot. I'm Justin Prince, alongside me is Noof, also known as David Haynes. And the producer tonight, Dane Baird. We get all set to go for tonight's action. A lot to discuss when it comes to this evening. Second half of the season starting off tonight. But it's also a challenging one, to say the very least, to start off the second half.
What an exciting circuit, isn't it? I mean, you really can challenge in towards that turn 1, super flowing through the middle sector of this lap, and the F3 cars love a flowing, smooth surface where they can use those slicks, those wings, that downforce. Not known for a huge amount of horsepower, but what that does is it keeps them close and pack racing.
Lots to talk about in turn with it being the second half of the campaign. With that, let's head towards the schedule, shall we? Because so far, it's been intriguing with the layout, because you've had Mosport with Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, you've had the Hungaroring. We also had some of the newer circuits, like Circuit de Graz as well as Circuit de Magny Cours. Brands Hatch, though, brings some familiarity last time out. The second half of the season starts now, though, with a very wide range of different tracks compared to the last season for PRL.
Yeah, great looking arrangement of circuits that can very much suit this style of race car Grand Prix style, but also with some challenging, slower parts. And of course, look forward to the remainder of the championship all the way through to Rudskogen Motor Center, Norway at the end of this season.
An interesting way to finish off the campaign, but so far in terms of how things have played out for the championship for the second half of the campaign, starting out, I should say, 2 drivers have maintained themselves as the favorites entering this evening. Gio Placio and Ozzy Milwayne. 2 points the difference between them. However, Milwayne has a DNF to his credit as his drop. Then you have Placio, who does not have a DNF. In fact, his lowest points tally 47 points in the season. That could make things a bit intriguing for how the drop factors in later on in the season. Keep in mind, all 5 rounds coming into tonight, Placio with the top 5 of note. Stephen Ritters, Michael Dowden, and Andrew Moran within the top 5 of the point standings. 2 of the top 5 from Yellow Stripe Motorsports Black as well. James Valaire, Lucas Hill, Jake Vasconcelos, McPherson, and Alexander, your top 10 in the point standings. In this series, there's also the team championship, and with 2 drivers in the top 5, it's not a surprise. Yellow Stripe Motorsports Black is up on the top of the pylon for the team championship. 93 points scored last round. They lead by 68 points in turn after about that difference last time out gained on Atomic Racing. Speedworks Racing, Team Esport, Island Autosport, Fairball Midnight, the top 5. Knox E-Motorsports, seen them have great speed throughout the years in this series. 6th overall in the team standings. Atomic Red Panda, Yellow Stripe Motorsports Gold, Evolve, and Parabolic Cobalt. Right at the top 10 of note. Teams White Rookie Esports and Private Label outside that grouping. With that, the drivers getting themselves situated for tonight. I'd like to remind you tonight's action is brought to you in part by Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products. Use the Precision 5 coupon code. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts. The casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Priced and carefully handcrafted, our button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceBoxSimRacing.com and get a 5% discount. Use the Precision 5 coupon code. Butt Kicker products include incredible immersion and bring realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Mecha Sim Hardware is a small company from the Czech Republic. Their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you're looking for high-end pedal sets, handbrakes, or sequential shifters, visit Mecha Sim Hardware's eShop right now to get you up to speed. Radness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morat. For more information, visit moradness.com. And by NinjaTrader. Better futures start now. Trade the world's future markets with NinjaTrader. Visit ninjatrader.com to access unlimited free trade simulation. Drivers getting themselves situated. Under 4 minutes to go in qualifying on the 20 minutes of open qualifying tonight. We got Placio Curley, the top driver at the Hungaroring for tonight's 26-lap, 45-minute race. And as we get ready to turn towards how things are playing out, David, the pressure has to be on for some, especially trying to execute. Not a lot of races to go, just 5 to go, and track position here is so critical.
Yeah, only a few real overtaking opportunities around this circuit, as viewers of Formula One will know very, very well. It's turn 1. Maybe if you get a mistake from the driver in front of you, it's sort of turn 4 or turn 5 or even turn 12. But you can see that already the circuit challenging the drivers in qualifying. As you saw a couple cars spun around there, and it's a relatively hot track at the moment as well, which I think is why we're not seeing great qualifying improvement at the tail end of this session. As the tires get hot, the track continues to warm. So I think some of those best times set a little earlier in this session, even if Palacio did get a purple middle sector on his last flying lap, couldn't stitch the first and third sectors together to go with it to extend his advantage currently on pole position.
Connor Harrington, though, leading the way in most of the final practice until the final seconds from that 194. In second in qualifying, and a very much open wheel specialist. He's started part-time throughout the campaign and has Bren up at the front in his 2 starts so far, looking to try and be in the top 5 again, maybe get himself to the checker flag as the winner. He's been close a couple times this season in this campaign.
Of course, open qualifying, if you can get a slipstream somewhere, it can help you out, but conversely, if you catch traffic in the other parts of the lap time, can force you to throw away a lap that you've put your best effort into. So the challenge of open qualifying is that there is benefits to be had from finding some other drivers in the right place and some pain to be found if you find them in the wrong place. With Connor Harrington at the moment, he's about to trip the first sector timing line, and we'll see how he's tracking, given his personal best first sector, 35.4, and 35.5 so far on this lap, so 10th down on improving. You'll know that maybe he can find something else elsewhere around the lap as Daly improves. So for Harrington, personal best in the next sector, 37 seconds. See how this one tracks as he continues to attack the twistiest, most corners flowing into each other, middle sector of this lap. Timing line comes up on the exit of that corner, and a 37.3 sees him lose another 3 tenths, so 4 tenths down on improvement at the moment for Harrington.
Talking with that track temperature, we've talked about a little bit here. 10th lap of him in this qualifying run. For reference, under a minute to go in the session. Jake Potts amongst those who have not set times. However, Potts has not taken laps in the session the past 20 minutes. Ash Losher is the other driver not to set time. They are on the track. Harrington coming to the stripe. No time set. Another invalidated lap. A second straight, in fact, for the 44. Under 30 seconds to go. Qualifying just about done. Then there's a runoff time to allow everybody to finish up their qualifying runs. You talked about some of the difficulties to pass here tonight. That leads to the question, how and where do you think we see that a lot today, especially knowing some of the trends from other series?
I definitely think it's turn 1 or no overtakes here. We've seen drivers, even in qualifying, taking different lines through the final corner. It's a big open flowing hairpin. Some drivers take a late apex, some drivers hug the inside. What you kind of want to try to do is force the other guy to take a compromised line through the final corner. You set up a late apex, big speed down the straight in the slipstream, try to outbrake them into turn 1.
Runoff time is underway. Drivers currently completed their lap times as we take a look at some of the various fixtures here. And what can you tell us about the country of Hungary? I believe you had some facts ready.
Got some great facts. My favorite Hungary fact is that Budapest not only has the longest trams in the world, really long trams, they've also got the oldest operating metro system dating to the 1890s, one of the first countries, first cities to have an underground electric metro. My other favorite thing is it's a very hot day here. There's a water park just near the circuit. I'm really, I'm not much of a wave pool or water slide guy. I'm a lazy river kind of guy.
I mean, sometimes the lazy river, though, can take you down the wrong path. See if everyone picks the right pathway here today that takes them to victory
Very
lane.
philosophical. I love it.
Yes, indeed. As Eric Dubé amongst those close out the runs. In fact, this is the last driver who can set a time in the entire session. That might end it right there. In fact, yes, off track. They're off the gas. In fact, they lost 6/10 compared to the previous time. And in turn, that should just about wrap things up. All drivers completed their qualifying runs. Championship contenders, at least one of them up in the front. The other one, though, Ozzy Milwane, he's back in 5th, so losing a couple spots in the qualifying. He was in top 7 for much of the practice.
I did see a couple drivers. None of them challenged the pole late on in that session, but there are a few drivers who obviously got together a clean and tidy lap that they needed to get in towards the top 10, and it is a long race as far as these kind of cars go coming up. So I think just to be inside of the top 10 is important, especially if you're looking at that team's championship. And I love a team's championship in this style of racing because it really does come down to not how good is your strongest driver, how good is your second driver, how consistent are they. So in our team's championship, you want to try to at least qualify in that top 10 to be that supporting role.
Just about all set to go for today. Let's take a look at your starters today from the Hungaroring here on RaceSpot. Placio starts off in the pole today, then it's Harrington in the second spot. Moran and Steven Retter's the top 4, with Milwane and Chavley the top 6. Atomic Racing, 2 of the top spots. In the 7th spot today behind them, you have Brenner Demol, Del Mar, and looking to power his way ahead for Island. Auto Sport, start alongside Sayad, Iron Daly and Blake Zini, the top 10. Eric Dubé starts alongside Takeshi Kita having penalties from previously at Magny Coors. Mid-pack this time, featuring Cal McPherson and Corey Precker, Vasconcelos and Richard Swindell. Behind them, Neil Alexander and Austin Harris with an intriguing paint scheme tonight. The stripes on the gold machine. After all, it is a yellow stripe car. Evan Jones starts 19th with Barry Cockman in 20th. James Carter back in 21st. Hill in 22nd. The driver's not taking times match Slosher, who did attempt times. In fact, towards the final seconds, but last on the board. Jake Potts will not start tonight's round. That's what top to bottom at your starting order tonight. Your quick keys to victory if you want to find your way to victory lane and not, in turn, have to spend post-race trying to find some happiness at the largest water park in Hungary, which is what you're talking about.
Is it the largest one? Wow, I know you get a good view of it out towards turn 5, turn 6, but yeah, definitely going to be on a ride for some of these drivers. The pole sitter places himself down in that place of honor, but it will be the outside into turn 1 if he doesn't get a good start.
Drivers are all set to go. We're glad to have you with us here on RaceSpotTV. Round 6 of the PRL's F3 series is underway from the Hungaroring. 3 wide are ready for the starting blocks to make their way off to turn 1 for the first time. Lacio, single file, huge squeeze on Ritters from Harrington. The outside of Harrington, a poke from one of the green cards, that's Milwane. What makes the way to the first corner, no spinnies as they go 2-3 wide off through turn 2. Set things up for the first hard braking zone after the big send.
Shoes on the other foot actually as Connor Harrington from the inside on the front row didn't get away well and immediately under pressure. Moran got past. Stephen Ritters wanted to have a go, but very robust defense from Connor Harrington still runs in 3rd and the battle's on for 4th.
Milwane wanting spots and everybody going wide. A little bit close still to the back end, that's Moran. 2-3 wide behind as they still try and send it through. You have to be careful here with the single file, or rather the double file. How much time you can lose in the SS in particular right here.
These F3 cars sit low and you don't want to get too much of the curb through that chicane either because it will really upset them. Drivers running a little bit wide in places here and even wider. Doesn't seem to be any grip on the AstroTurf there. The pavement's where it's at.
Definitely want to stay on the race.
Curb either.
Oh, and one car off of the grass, all running some troubles up towards the front. We still keep going. That is Steven Ritters, one of the Atomic cars. was the one with such that great start to take away that spot originally from Harrington.
So no carnage or chaos, but still an adventurous opening lap with drivers trying to find that tyre temperature, trying to find the track limits and try to find some pace. But I think your driver of that opening lap was Palacio converting the pole position.
Trouble in the backdrop. That's, yes indeed, Corey Precker, the 16th starting spot with a spin. We still keep going. Start off the second lap of the day in the 35 with the spin. Meanwhile, up towards the front of the grouping, the drivers trying to get the rhythm going in the mid-pack. To catch Chiquita under attack this time. That's Kevin McPherson. Trying to gain some spots. McPherson, for reference, top 10 in final practice.
You see some of the drivers keeping their powder dry until that turn one where they tried to make some of the moves. Some of them have stuck, still battling fiercely over this part of the field from sort of 13th, 14th, 15th there, closely packed as you kind of blind in the crest going over the hill at turn 4 here. Saw lots of drivers running wide there earlier, and it's into a little bit of a hairpin at turn 5.
A lot of the drivers still trying to get the rhythm going. We mentioned one driver starting towards the back, and Schlosser gaining a few spots for reference, up a couple to 21st already. See how the day goes, though, for the 40 as they look to try to attack Lucas Hill, who clips a lot of the curbing. The toughest thing about this season so far has been not allowing that main leader to break away, it seems. It's worth noting. Last time out at Brands Hatch, checking through the tape, Milway was kept within about a second and a half much of the way. Then the pack started to break apart. How do you make sure you keep that leader within check, or in your respective pack in check, to make sure you stay in that set pack to keep the fight going?
Pedal as hard as you damn can. Palacio's got 9/10 over second place, and then it kind of looks like a little bit of a line in all of the cars behind, though a gap starting to form between sort of 6th and 7th and 3rd and 4th at the moment. So Moran and Harrington look like the two drivers best placed to try to go along with the race leader at the moment.
Inez Moran, championship contender from last season, the PRL's open wheel Thursdays for the F3 series, keeping it tight. Moran can be very quick whenever we see that 99 car on the racetrack. He's kept the pressure up so far in the early going. Moran, 5th in the point standings entering today.
Getting a little later into the afternoon, the track's still staying hot. 46 Celsius on the surface, 29 in the air is a very warm day. Max Shabley's gone a little wide at turn 5, not hit anything, and gone back into position there in 9th.
And that's a major thing to consider here. 13 incident points, the limit before you have a drive-through penalty. There are exemption rules around this racetrack. A lot of them, in fact. A lot of the graphics I've noticed since some of the previous updates have gone from a faded red to a full, this is where you can not go on the track. How difficult is it to avoid the incident count? After all, we've seen tracks like this in the past trigger lots of incident points late.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading exactly on how the track limits are enforced, and pretty much if you get all 4 of your tires outside of the curbing, that'll do it. Replay there. Not even getting any of the curb or anything there. The tail just lets go, trying to pick up the throttle in one of the low gears for Corey Precker. ZT's picked up a spot from Dubé in 10th and 11th.
Keeping things close as we take a look at Eric Dubé.
He wants it back.
Wanting to try and get a spot back from ZD indeed. They're at their starting positions. ZD, keep in mind, still yet to set a personal best lap without an off track. It's lap 4.
Definitely seeing around this part of the lap from sort of turn 6 onwards that's where the track limit abuse is most severe. That's quite deep on the way in, quite deep on the way out. Nearly contact there, but ZT hits the wall, and so lucky for Dubé to not get involved in it.
An immediate toll for ZD, and our first car is now out of the race. Significant damage for the number 50 Blake ZD after hitting some of the sausage curbing.
Chablis off now as well. Did it at turn 5 the other lap ago. I called it out, and now he's gone out wide. Had to lock up all the tyres, stamp on the brake to not spin out. Those tyres will be overheated and roasting now for him.
By the way, the reason he was slow coming back on the racetrack, that was a slowdown on the return too, because he rejoined on the off-track portion of the track where you can cut some time, so to speak, with where you then get a serve slow down. So a bit of a 1-2 punch there that puts him in the back now. And up the road, by the way, you see there Vasconcelos, that orange car, on Dubé for 9th. So, up through the field goes Vasconcelos. Dubé going backwards, though, not a good sign for one of the yellow striped cars. That is
possibly might have picked up front wing damage.
He does have wing damage. You're right. That's bad damage on the left front of the wing for the car behind Dubé.
And that's a double whammy where he's probably losing a bunch of front grip, but it's also giving him more drag, so he can't push as hard through the corners as you see him run wide again. And he's also a sitting duck on the pit straight, so I wonder if we don't see him try to fix that, because it looks like it's really, really hurting. You're about to see how much it hurts through this sector, and you get a good look at it. The element and the end plate on the left all askew.
Dubé already losing more than a second of Vasconcelos since that pass. Pearson also getting by now 2 seconds up the road. Well, this is now breaking in just 21 laps to go on the board. Half-fuel mileage race. Dubé nearly sliding out of the corner. Kita next in line, by the way, with teammate Max Chablis. Your biggest mover for reference, tie for +4 for the second biggest, but Vasconcelos is your biggest 10 machine. So at this point, what can you do in terms of the damage control if you're Dubé? Because we've seen drivers recover from it, but this seems to be critically bad.
Well, we're going to see if it makes him a complete sitting duck. Managed to hold on down the pit straight this time, which surprised me because it should compromise you off the final corner and then compromise you down the straight. So it's not good, but it's struggling to see how you're ever going to get the time back if you do try to fix it. Delmar loses 2 spots.
A lot of shuffling amongst everything going forward here. You mentioned Delmar. Let's still shuffle back indeed by Zan and Daly racetrack as well. Let's take a look at that respective pack. Byron Daly, former eNASCAR competitor, also one-time crew chief for Colleague Racing, where Coyle just so happens to be part of that respective group as well as with RaceSpot. For reference, though, in terms of some interesting marks with Delmar wants those who are some of the newcomers for this season, trying to showcase their talents.
So I've been well impressed with Jake Vasconcelos so far in this one. Biggest mover in the race at the moment with 6 positions gained, and we saw a couple of those moves very well executed. And it's a bit of a team swap potentially from Chablis and Kita behind the damaged car of Eric Dubé.
Either right there in the backdrop, indeed, and it's becoming almost half half teamwork wise. Keep in mind, Chablis did lose a lot of the spots before because of that loose moment we talked about earlier. But keep in mind, in terms of the big picture side of things, we take a look at Chablis. This is what we were talking about, where he lost the time.
Wow, he's gone out too wide on the curb on the entry and then just ridden it like a water slide out into the runoff.
Not usually how you want to do it, though. This is
No, that's one of those rides where you definitely want one of the inflatable tubes to save your backside.
Well, that in the water park, once again, is on the other side of one of the tree lines. Dubé, meanwhile, up in front of that pack, again going wide. They have yet to get around Dubé. How urgent does this start to get soon? Because they are now 2.5 seconds back in the next pack.
lazy river at Hungary Aqua Arena is 300 meters long.
Just had to Google that to make sure you had the fact out.
Yeah, so what? Then you'd have to ride that track length 4.3 kilometers here. A lot of rides in the lazy river to make one lap of Hungaroring.
Once again, Noof bringing the facts. Atomic Racing Machine sliding Eric Dubé up in front of them yet again. And one of the major things about the difficulties of passing here too is the arrow wash. That's seen with these types of cars when you're getting close like this. That seems to be the major barrier, because every time they get within a car length or two, that's where they start to drop back.
And you can start to see the tires heating up as well, because the driver's struggling a little more with the rear of the car sliding along. He has an opportunity in towards turn 5, not the typical overtaking maneuver. When the guy in front of you makes a mistake, you've got to take every opportunity.
Chablis not able to complete it though. A little smoke puff kicked up there. Back into line they go. Chablis better run. Dubé still parking the apexes though. They've now lost 3.5 seconds in the next pack. Neil Alexander, Evan Jones, Barry Cochran, Richard Swindells all are approaching within 1 second of this too. Chablis trying to set it up once again. Looking to show the nose. Might get it. No, they lock up the brakes. So sliding in for Chablis as this bunches everyone up again.
Looks like a great opportunity to make one of the rare moves at turn 12, but obviously very slippery offline. The brake bias not working to his advantage as he tried to dive in there, and he's got very squirrely on the rears. Didn't get great run off the corner. Both of them run wide out of the final corner.
Chablis really loose on the tires. Looks like Takeshi Kita taking the chance to take the spot back at least. And it's very slidey right now with what we're seeing with these tracks. Not so much the temperatures, but just the tire life of them. Usually you see a fuel-only strategy. The lighter you go, the faster you go. But the best of the best, remember, are the ones who are able to run fast laps or faster laps despite the tire wear we've seen. As a matter of fact, Andrew Moran set his personal best last time by.
You're hoping that as the tires wear and the balance of the car changes, it moves in a direction that suits your driving style more. Again, could we see a move at turn 5? Dubé defensive this time. Kita looking for a run around the outside, and it's a different team car now knocking at his door, still not able to make any progress on what's a slightly wounded Eric Dubé.
Still, Kita trying to build up the run. Kita looking more aggressive. Another left having to back off. And normally the thought might be coming down, do you save, do you try and strategize things out? That's kind of now going out the window. We already know based on the damage, Dubé likely going to have to take the wing change in 10 seconds lost. But the more they fight, the more these drivers lose the chance to possibly battle for the top 10.
Look like a pretty slippery surface at the moment for these cars.
Oh, look at
Might
us
just have a shot. Kita on Dubé, he's got it down the inside at 1.
See that up the road. Kita with the send. Kita the first to clear by in a while. That was from Neil Alexander, the viewpoint. As Kita now clear. 5 seconds lost. Dubé now back to 12th position. Next up to try and battle with Chablis.
Where the best of the battling is in the midfield here, because I think Cochran and Swindells also went a bit side by side. The cars in the back of this shot as well. Oh, no way to pass there.
Might have been contact. It was close. Chablis avoiding damage. It was very tight there. Dubé's pitting. Dubé has indicated he wants to pit next time by.
Dubé calls pitting in, so he's clearly wanting to fix that up as soon as possible. It's hurting him, hurting the balance, and he's forcing him to scrap with all of these drivers here. And it puts a lot of risk as well when you've got to defend with one hand behind your back. Tempting these drivers to make increasingly more risky moves the longer it goes on.
And entry, keep in mind, coming up to the right. The second last corner, 13 coming out to the pit lane. There it goes, Dubé. Takes about 9 additional seconds to change the wing. So Dubé opens up the pit window, 16 to go, this time by the stripe. Looking solid on the time mark as well for reference. Downside, Chablis losing 2 seconds to his teammate. That's that.
Pit lane speed limit 80 kilometers an hour is nice though. Oh, drama!
Oh my goodness, that's Takeshi Kita coming out of turn 1. He spins out in front of his teammate Max Chablis, and that time difference, well, it definitely played a bit of a factor, and that did not work in Chablis' favor. Chablis significant damage, Chablis locking it up. Kita has mandatory damage repair for reference from the hit.
Yep, the meatball flag out for Takeshi Kita. That's the worst case scenario. Teammates coming together on the exit of turn 1. Just not able to avoid and drilling his own teammate.
It's like that, two of the Atomic Racing Machines having some bad luck, as, by the way, Matt Schlosser, I should say, through all this, up 7 spots. Still stuck behind Lucas Hill, and I think that's an emphasis of the troubles here. Speaking of troubles, this is what happens to Kita.
A lot of apex curve unsettles the car, rear loops around, got a bit greedy on the inside of turn 1.
And that caused the stack up indeed with the 2 teammates right at the start of the pit window. Getting back to that point on the difficulty to pass, Schlosser not able to find any way around Lucas Hill since the last time we checked in. This is the second start of the season, by the way. Last time out, 35-point score. That's enough for being in the top 10-15. By the way, no surprise, Chablis, Kita into the pit lane, this time by.
Both of them looking to put some of their misery behind them and maybe clean up their cars, get some damage fixed, front wing replacement potentially as well.
Sometimes, though, the sirens of urgency, like we're going to have to pick up for some. This is Seat and Daly. They've been lined up astern for a while, ever since passing Del Mar. Both of them matching lap times. How closely? Within 3/1000ths of a second last time by their matching times. Their personal best laps within 9/1000ths, 100ths rather, second.
Drivers super closely matched in this Dallara F3 car. The rear sliding through the penultimate corner there. You can see through so many of these corners the challenge is how to pick up the throttle while you've still got some steering angle in it. It doesn't like doing both at the moment on this age of the tires, on this kind of track temperature.
Speaking of drivers trying to find things forward, pit stop time for some you see up the track. All this while, around Schlosser Company looking to find a little bit up the road. That's Swindells, that's Jones, that's Cochran, all in line. Jones trying to send it on in, maybe the move quite yet. Alexander and Hill were the 2 drivers who pit there, by the way. Halfway this upcoming time by, expecting the pit parties to start soon, because keep in mind, with the series trend, hit with about 7 to go. Try and take the least amount of fuel.
Yeah, still no hint of stopping from many of the leaders, where Glacio's got 2 seconds over Moran, Harrington right with him, and the 3 of them walking away from the rest of the field. Wayne Ritter's 4th and 5th.
We've seen some of their drivers start as one of the privateer labels previously. Their logos on some of the cars in the past. They've added their numbers, though. It's a team that races in multiple different disciplines. Platform, Roots coming more so for the stock car side. Neil Alexander, for reference, a part of that grouping 2, and the Night banner. Cochran over the Cobalt banner. Now Jones in the midst of this train, who is also a part of that Cobalt banner. Trying to get pulled. Talking about Vasconcelos, though. He's been impressive since making his first starts about a season or two ago. Once again, doing Jake Vasconcelos things. He's been a contender for victories in the past in this campaign, or rather in this series, at tracks like Long Beach.
Very brightly colored car and rims as well. Gone with the orange wheels. Interesting. But making some moves so far in this race. With that, got a lot of clean air though forward of him to get to the next groupings and battles.
Bit of a change from the previous campaigns where we've seen more so a bluish look. Still though.
Looks like it could be like a venomous snake. If I see an animal with green and orange, I'm not touching it.
Thank you very much for your TED Talk. Meanwhile, the battle is on. Again, the groupings. Richard Trentalis, Jones. Then Schlosser is in this pack now, too. That's a bit of a change from earlier. However, some of the drivers have hit around them. So, we'll see if anyone peels in this time high. One call on the radio. Looks like 2 calls this time. 2 teammates, in fact. Cochran, Brady, Evan, Jones with them.
Yeah, Rich Swindle stays out, gets a little bit of a breather out of that. Some of our higher placed pit stop callers then. Don't find their pit crew, find the fuel.
Put you on the spot here. You mentioned water slides, lazy rivers. Look through social media, you have a very big teddy bear you like to show off. How many of those teddy bears would it take to fill up the entire lazy river that you projected that would be the racetrack distance?
What?
You heard me.
No, I mean, I heard all the words. The teddy bear's 120 centimeters tall. What's the math problem?
How many of them would it take to fill this entire racetrack distance worth of that lazy river from before?
How many of them would it take to fill the racetrack, or how many of them would it take to fill the lazy river? Or how many lazy rivers would it take to fill the racetrack?
What?
That's what I'm asking you! I don't know what the question is!
Okay, now you've confused me on my own question. So, this is what I get for asking about teddy bears.
Okay, so the track is about 14.3 times longer than the lazy river is.
Oh my goodness, this is gonna... Oh, we have trouble! Schlosser is in the wall. Schlosser, the 40 car, has crashed it. We stay going. Schlosser, having a slide on his own, was up to a race high 12th and now is dealing with wing damage, trying to test the car out after the hit.
I think he's got suspension damage as well. It did just tag the Armco, and I was surprised then to see him carry on and not pit, because he was before where the pit entry is in the penultimate corner.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough break. That's going to cost a lot of track position as a result of the damage. Dubé already taking the wing damage repair, by the way, as well as a penalty for the drive-through. Here's the spin. Looked like just enough to graze the wall.
I guess it was actually as he tried to spin it around. It just kissed with the nose, but then he lit up the rear on the very, very slippery grass. and tagged the left rear against the wall as he straightened it up, but it looks okay.
Reynolds is in up the road. Schlosser still continuing on the run. At least one more lap. Expecting a lot of leaders to duck on in pretty soon here. So as this window continues, Vasconcelos also jumps on in. How many teddy bears would it take to fit in the racetrack?
Okay, well, the Hungaroring Grand Prix circuit is 4.38 kilometers long, so 4,380 meters. We're probably then talking something in the range of 3,500 bears.
One driver wishing that the wall was made out of teddy bears, Barry Cochran. Cochran, after the pit stops, has crashed. The 7-Eleven no longer has a front nose. In fact, is bringing it in. This is why.
That thing went for a major ride. Again, just lighting up the rear tires, trying to find traction and get the throttle going on the way out of the corners. And then getting well away from the circuit, sliding across the grass and nose first with a heavy hit into the wall.
All this as well, Dubé's been lapped as a result of the drive-through. Still up at the front, 94. Seal still leading by 3 seconds nearly over Andrew Moran, Connor Harrington, the top 3. Nearly identical to the race tempo compared to the last time. Because this is about the same differences, give or take a second, Ozzie Milwain had as the leader at Brands Hatch.
It's an interesting little lead, isn't it? You're absolutely breaking the slipstream. The driver behind gets none of it. But then you can't afford a mistake with only 2 seconds in hand. So it's sort of, you got control, but you're not out and away and clear with any real, insurance policy.
On board, this is Byron Daly still. That's still up in front in this respective pack, 17 seconds back of the leader. So in terms of fuel margin, so far about 4.6 seconds, the quickest stop scheduled for Steven Ritters. How would you play this if you were, say, amongst those who have drafted behind someone who hasn't had to draft this run?
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? The longer you go into the race, the more information you get about your fuel burn, the more accurately you can gauge exactly how much you need to take. So there is an advantage in that way. As we're expecting to see Sully Sard pitting, Julio Palacio pits from the race lead, so absolutely it's the hot thing to do.
Oh, this is the lap. Daly thought about a poke to the outside. Instead, peels it on in. The whole top 6 coming in this time. Daly losing time before the cone. A big lockup behind the green wall. Already, Harrington amongst those rolling in. Lacio amongst those finished up. Moran 5 seconds. No major differences to the interval. Give or take 1 second based on the pit lane deltas.
So it just comes back through into 5th as you see the whole field pitting, and very, very even. They're as close on the way out as they were on the way in between Sully Sard and Byron Daly.
Anything. Daly nearly slams in the back end of Sayad. How about that? Well, it looked like he wanted to go before the pit entry. He definitely wanted to make the pass after.
Wow, that's interesting. There would have been a real temptation to try to sort of swing wide on the pit exit and then strike at that moment, but didn't able to manage it as they were sort of single file with that narrow pit exit blend line.
Interestingly enough, though, you see that interval up on that pylon for the lead. Moran has gained 2 seconds since the pit stop from pit cone to the final sector of the racetrack. So while this battle goes on, the lead has all of a sudden compressed as well with traffic. So now it becomes the factor. How How do you plot it to get yourself this spot, knowing you don't have pit stops now? You're at the lightest fuel burn on the racetrack.
Does make it all really, really interesting for the race lead as that gap got compressed down. And some of the other battles that were separated by the pit stops rejoin now that everyone has made their pit stops from daily.
Yeah, breaking point much earlier from Sayad. And the one thing to note that I mentioned that time, it's so important, the pit entry, to be able to gain time, right? That appears to be where a lot of the time Moran picked up, by the way. Hearing that's where a lot of those 2 seconds were going to that cone.
Daly and Sad at battle again, but yeah, it's one of these circuits where realistically the pit entry has its own corner that you've got to attack like it's the racetrack, because it's before the start of the pit lane speed limit, and you can lose time, you can gain time there just like you can any other corner every other lap of the race. And it's typically therefore the corner that you practice the least can be a big differentiator as far as how quick your in-lap is, and the in-lap for Moran was 1.2 seconds quicker. I feel like I've jinxed Vasconcelos.
You have, because right now the reason you may notice Vasconcelos losing lots of time to pile on, he's cutting through the grass. Let's take a look at the replay.
Turn 4, high sides it on the exit curb, becomes a toboggan, finds the Armco and spreads some souvenirs around about turn 5. Got Harrington in third, having some dramas and venting some frustrations with the amount of time he's lost to Palacio and Moran.
I was about to say that because did you just see what I just saw down that straightaway? Harrington showing the frustration a bit there after getting around the traffic. Dirty air from lap traffic is a major thing, and that's where that frustration may be coming from. Over the radio is the top 2 going to have to deal with that a bit, and that's where 2 tenths were picked up when they reached Kita initially for Palacio.
A wiggle there in the same spot for Moran as we saw Vasconcelos race almost come undone. He's pushing as hard as he possibly can, but it just seems like across the lap, in all circumstances, Palacio's just got 1 or 2 tenths to cover him off. Gap that was underneath the second, now sort of out a little closer to 1.1, 1.2, but there's traffic coming in the form of Eric Dubé.
Traffic mostly cordial, not the greatest spots to reach it though. Already, Palacio losing tons of time with the dirty air. 1 tenth lost. Moran looking to take advantage of this. Coming to 5 laps to go. Moran misses the apex though and throws the time back.
The final corner, these is those different lines looking for the late apex, sort of 3/4 of the way around rather than at the halfway point, because it's all about the speed onto the longest straight of the raceway, where Dubé gets out of the way. Moran says it, but I still want some of that slipstream, and then I'll take the racing line in towards turn number 1. Gap between the leaders pretty much back where it was.
Anything, Palacio gaining about 1/2 tenth of a second. Along with Moran. Talked about the open wheel success last season. It was in F4 competition, iRacing competition, should say. Looking very loose right now. Lots of time lost coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, never really got it to the apex, not gripping up at the rear of the car, and you have to sort of counter steer, walk the car out wide, shuffle it out there, and not the optimal line, doesn't carry the speed, but he manages to just stay in this race. You can only just pray for lady luck to give you something when you're in position to grab it.
Palacio looking to try and run away to try and clinch this race. Gain solid ground on no way to the points. Looking for a second victory of the season. Things can hold on. Lots can happen though, as we've seen over the years in this series. Of note, speaking of what can happen, remember the frustrations with Harrington. He is closing in on Moran. So there is a chance the private label team hype driver, Harrington, could make it a fight for second, with Moran dropping in fast.
Once you get so aggressive on the tires, you put heat into them, they get even more slipperier, and you can approach a sort of death spiral of tire grip there if you don't get out of it. Moran obviously gave it everything, trying to attack, trying to get within that window of the slipstream, and now dropping back a little bit, having to pull the tires off, having to drive a little more within himself, and Harrington smells that opportunity.
And last time by, Harrington in clean air, half a second quicker compared to the 99 of Moran. And I've noticed too in some of the lines, a lot of curbing being taken from Moran. That more so just trying to hit the line, or more so just the pressing of, I have to gain time, I have to build a buffer here. The case of overdrive.
Well, it opens up the angle of the corners, but then it comes with its own risk. There's a few of the curbs you don't want to bite too much of. We've seen that be sort of the instigator of most of the accidents so far. So it is a balancing act.
Curbing kicked up with the rear tires, possibly near over the line there. Driver's like getting very close to the incident mark, not just in the case of Dubé. Kita came out of the pit lane a few laps ago, by the way, after 9 minutes repairs. No other drivers outside of Max Shapley have had to serve drive-through penalties today. 3 to go this time by.
Really could rack up incident points quickly as well around here if you're in a position like Moran or Ritters or any of them like that, because you just overstep a tiny bit. There's 3-4 places around the lap where you could pick up an incident point, so you could start the final lap on 25 and still get close to that limit.
You don't want to end up being the driver though who gets the incident one on the last lap, because unless you pull a Michael Schumacher, likely not going to be able to serve that penalty because of where the start and finish line is. And here we go with the battles meanwhile. Looking for spots, Shapley already having an incident point penalty in this race. Lucas Hill losing some time earlier in the race, lets him go. Shapley powering on by.
Yeah, a drive-through penalty costs you 16, 17 seconds or so, but if you're carrying that black flag and can't serve it before the end of the race, I think it almost ends up adding 40 seconds post-race, give or take. You do not at all want to get a drive-through penalty, but you definitely don't want to get it in the last 2 laps and not be able to serve it, because that is an even bigger penalty. You think about, if you're inside the top 10, 40 seconds puts you to 20th. The field's that close, and 40 seconds is that much of a penalty.
Meanwhile, they still keep on battling. Lucas Hill is not letting Shapley try and hold on to this spot. He really wants 14th. Wanted to become the biggest mover of the race if he can make the move back. Shapley, better off the exit though, runs away and cradles the edge of the curb. That difference in lines, a massive launch for Shapley off the curbing. More preferences we've seen have been a major difference in terms of time throughout this race.
Shapley's got it now, but it's tough to get away initially.
Up at the front, Blaisio continues to lead now by 2.5 seconds. Harrington has stopped closing him around for now. It stays 2 seconds to gap for second and third. Blaisio has had a strong race today again for Speedworks. One victory already on the campaign, looking at the second today after starting on the pole for the second time of the year. Pick up a lot cumulative points. Also looking for fastest lap points yet again, coming to the white flag this time by only 2.72 miles to go, 14 turns to close it.
Looking at the lap times from everyone in the field now, with the age of their tires, with the track temperature, everyone's sort of give or take 6 or 7 tenths away from their personal best. I don't think anyone has got anything in the tank to reset that fastest lap of the race and take it away from Palacio.
Keep in mind, when your drop round estimate currently is 47, that's usually a good sign of your consistency. When your drop is essentially in the being your worst top 5 finish, that just shows again how quick you are as a driver, but also consistency wins championships. He's had that this year to put himself in position to possibly win the title.
Looking good at the moment, I say, as I'm touching a wooden desk.
See though, final sections here. The gap has shrunk a little bit to close out the lap, but he's led every single lap today here in Hungary. Final section for Podium. Speedwork Racing Team, esports driver William Palacio, coming out of the final corner, leads every single lap to dominate round 6. He wins it at the Hungaroring. Second spot going to Andrew Moran. Connor Harrington rounds out the podium. Stephen Ritters makes it on fumes in the 4th spot over Milway. Battles continue.
Daly, Sully said in the final complex, you've been racing back and forth for a couple of laps, but I just don't think you've got any time left to be able to take this one away.
No move for Sayat indeed. Daly holds off Sayat at the checker flag. Precker of note having to take a slowdown in the final lap. Harrison Delmar. Looking at some of the yard drivers worked away for. This is Richard Swindells looking to close out the top 10. Precker, despite the slowdown, still looking to hold off Neil Alexander for one more set of corners. This will likely indeed close out the top half. Precker holds on for 11th. 12 to Alexander. Rest the drivers, 17 total on the lead lap. Running on their own, James Carter, the last of those today. Today definitely brought some excitement for the podium, I will say, or rather a lot of positions in general. What can you say?
I think sort of 2 opportunities in this race where Palacio really had to show his class. One, the opening couple of laps to break that 1 second to the cars behind and break that slipstream. And then again after that pit stop window where Moran was all over him, breathing fire, saying, if you make a single mistake, I'm here and I'm taking the race win. And both of those times sort of reset his advantage to nothing. They showed the consistency and just unflappable under that kind of pressure twice in this race. Makes him a worthy winner.
Everybody's speeding their way in for technical inspection. As we take a look at your unofficial race results today from the Hungaroring. Palacio finishes with the victory, 2.3 seconds the margin today over Andrew Moran. Harrington in the top 40 with Ritters and Milway in the top 5. Then going back and forth for 6, Daly gets the edge. Pearson and Delmar in the top 9. Swindells comes away with the top 10. Behind them, despite a slowdown in the last lap, Corey Precker still holds on to the 11th spot. That over Neil Alexander. Evan Jones, Max Chevrolet after a drive-through, the highest of those with that drive-through in 14th. Lucas Hill, Ash Losher, and James Carter, those on the lead lap. Eric Dubé having issues early and a drive-through as well in 18th. Vasconcelos finishes after 5.5 minutes of repairs and 2 laps to close it in 19th to catch Shikita in 20th. 21st today, Barry Cochran a DNF. CD Austin Harris also getting that distinction. Jake Potts did not take the green flag despite being 4th quickest in final practice. Palacio picking up the fastest lap as well as that brings us through your unofficial race results here today from the Hungaroring. Drivers getting themselves situated for post-race celebrations. Intriguing one indeed for our drivers today, David. In turn, top three, all very powerful, all very quick in their own distinctions.
Yeah, and I'm sure all of them know how to find us here as well. Connor Harrington, what a media darling. Great performance by Glacier. I'm sure he'll want to revel amongst the celebrations.
We get ourselves situated. Why don't we talk to our second place finisher first, Andrew Moran. He's with David Haynes.
Well, congratulations on that second, making the winner work for it all the way. What were your thoughts and your motivations after that pit stop where you were, in contention?
Yeah, I was definitely pushing. I mean, it just turned out that I knew that my tires were going to go off. It felt like sooner than his because I had to push on the first couple laps to stay in front of Connor. But I was hoping maybe for a mistake and pressure him to something, but it just didn't work out. But I had a good finish. I'm happy with P2.
And the race start did help you with the standing start. Looked like Connor Harrington maybe bogged it down a little bit. You got away well, and that was a position that he couldn't take back from you.
Yeah, I think Connor and I actually think Julio as well were both on higher downforce setups. We had the straight line speed on him, so there was just no way that he was gonna get passed again. I mean, it was close. He could have sent a dive up. I think maybe he tried once, but he was too far back. But it was good racing from him. I definitely felt the pressure. So.
Well done. Congratulations. Second place for you, and mixing it right up there with the eventual race winner.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That's Andrew Moran coming away with the second place tonight. The driver with the victory tonight. Julio Lacio picking up win number 2 of the season. A lot of points picked up in turn as well for the championship with the pole as well as the fastest lap of the race. First of all, how was it up in the front for you today? A dominating victory, all 26 laps led today.
Yeah, it was a tough one out there. It's this is not a track where you have to worry about concentrating because you're always on it. So it was just trying to hit the marks and knowing where some of the landmines are and staying away. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, a lot of work. I'm exhausted, but yeah, I'm super happy with the actual race.
Mentioned the difficulties with the racetrack. What were kind of the thoughts when you had the pit stop cycle the way it was? Moran picking up 2 seconds in the pit entry. What was kind of that reaction at the pit stop cycle after the fuel put in?
Yeah, I think I took a little bit of extra fuel. I kind of felt I had the pace to kind of stay up front. So I knew I had a little bit of a gap, but I clearly need to work on my pit stops. I think that's something that I'm not doing very well. I thought I had a decent stop. So congrats to him on a great stop. But yeah, I think I had the car and the pace and the setup. So it was awesome.
This gains you a lot of points over your competitor, Ozzy Milwang. Next time out, Donington Park. Hearing a little rumblings, potentially the drop factored in. Your thoughts on the next round?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I think it's the shorter. Route. I haven't actually looked at it yet. So I just gotta try to keep running and trying to stay out of trouble and trying to stay consistent and try to run up front. Up with the front group. This is an awesome group to race with.
Congrats on the victory, your second of the season. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for what you do with the broadcast for PRL and for my teammates at SRT.
Good. Lacio coming away with the victory today. Would you believe it? Just the first multi-race winner of the season. 5 different winners in 5 rounds coming into today. Connor Harrington came away with the 3rd position, meanwhile. Now joins us Connor. Back in the 3 car tonight. How was your experience this evening?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like honestly we had a pretty fast race car, because especially considering we turned our first laps on the track today or this afternoon. So I don't know. Just a really bad, just a bad start. And I think we just had too much downforce on the car to make it some sort of competitiveness and have enough speed on the straightaway to draft. So, and then we just had a couple of errors and just overheated the tires, and we didn't have anything left at the end there, which we kind of hoped that the extra downforce would have helped us as the tires worn out. But an okay P3. That's how I feel about it.
Third start of the season for reference here tonight, all in the top 5, but of course more so known for your experience in another chassis with this chassis developer. I won't name the car because we know why. In all seriousness though, the difficulties or differences trying to build a car like that one that runs 220 plus miles an hour to the Formula 3 car that Delara builds.
Yeah, it's not so much. I mean, the car. I mean, the principles are still very similar. In terms of wing angle and ride height and all that stuff. But this tire is just really difficult to get used to. It's just so much different than, especially the 2 compounds that we have on the other vehicle that we're known for driving. So, it's fun. I mean, the cars. The car is definitely it's fun to drive, especially you can kind of thrash it around a little bit to get some pace out of it, but you really do have to be very smooth with it. Especially for how long these races are, you can't really stress that tire too much, otherwise you will you're gonna have some issues, especially later in the race.
So you've started half the rounds in this season under the private label Team Hype banner. What's the approach for you for the rest of the campaign? 4 races to go. Do we see you in all of them? Or if not, which races are you planning to approach and why not? Why or why not?
I hope to be able to run everything. I mean, truthfully, this is kind of just. I don't want to say that this is a not as intense league. At least for me, I'm using it just to kind of just to stay sharp. Obviously, with all the stuff that we've done with private label Team Hype, IBRA, and some other series, and especially some of the official special events. Yeah, it's been a long 2 or 3 years of sim racing, especially with the pandemic and how hard I've worked both in real life, working in the medical field, and working and obviously working with private label Team Hype. So we're kind of taking a step back a little bit. Still want to stay sharp, obviously, and ready for those endurance races and stuff like that. But we're taking a little bit of a step back, and this is just kind of a little bit of a lower stress environment compared to some of those other competitions, but still good fun.
Well, congratulations to the Podium. Intriguing to hear about those plans in terms of private label Team Hype. Congrats again.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Connor Harrington, the top 3 this evening. Thank him, Andrew Moran, Julio Placio, coming away in the top 3 here in this one. At that mark for tonight's race, Donington Park next on the docket, and that should be intriguing. It's the national layout for reference being utilized by the drivers next time out. Then in about a week's time, that national layout, just 1.957 miles. It's smaller to say the least without that chicane portion of the track, David.
Yeah, a lot closer to maybe 2,500 teddy bears, but it is an amazing circuit. I love it. National layout is the better one. You cut out 2 boring, lazy hairpins, and what's left is some great undulation, some kind of blind corners, still plenty of overtaking opportunity. Another circuit, though, where you've got to respect the track limits and respect the massive, monstrous curves in that final chicane.
That May the 4th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time here on RaceSpotTV. And that brings, in turn, the longest lap count estimated for the race. Left to go on the season, 44 laps at Donington Park, 27 laps estimated for Imola, Twin Ring Motegi's GP Circuit 25, then track in Norway, 35 laps estimated for the ticker. In turn, though, very different racetracks to close it out, from Donington Park, smaller layout, to Speed at Imola. Then Twin Ring Motegi, and no way to close it. On that note, it's time to close things out here today from Hungary. For my broadcast partner today, David Haynes. For producer Dave Baird, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching the Precision Racing League and its Formula 3 series on RaceSpot. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening. Once again, from Hungary.